Are you guys ready to throw some lawyers into the river? Hey everyone, welcome to the channel if you're new. Welcome back if you aren't. I am EDJ, and we are back to Napoleon. So, for those of you wondering why I'm dressed up in this weird, toga Roman attire, I'm currently reacting to Kings and Generals and Historia Civilis' Julius Caesar series back to back, jumping back and forth. And currently I'm making great speed because right now I am out of school. It's May 24th. I finished my finals. So pretty much at the moment for the next rest of May, June, July, and most of August, I am free. So I've just been devoting myself this past week to uploading and recording. I am currently about to finish Kings and Generals Julius Caesar today, and then next week I'm gonna devote fully to Historia Civilis. So that's why I'm dressed up in this Roman attire, or it's as close to Roman attire as I could get. Mainly, to look, I guess, the part. So yeah, but that's not the point. We're here to talk about Napoleon, who I haven't covered since a while now. We haven't covered Napoleon specifically since the Waterloo videos. I mean, we covered his marshals, and we covered the 1848 revolutions, but those are not completely focused on Napoleon, so here we're back to, the man himself as he, amasses power. So this coup, what I mainly know about it is that, this was, I believe, orchestrated, or Lucien, his brother, Lucien Bonaparte, had a big, part in this. This is essentially where Napoleon gains power, and they kind of assemble the government. What was it called? The Directory? It's the very unpopular government at this point. They assemble them, and then Napoleon shows up with his army, and then chaos ensues. I've heard accounts that Napoleon was apparently assaulted during this. So I don't know to what extent. I've seen some shows and movies where he's jumped or kind of slowed a little bit, pushed around. I don't know to what extent he was assaulted, but I think it was enough for the army to basically get really involved. I know Murad was there, and yeah, that's kind of the oversimplification of it, though the more specific details we're about to learn in a few minutes. So yeah, I don't really have much else to add. I'll just pause right here since that's kind of my whole intro. And when this live stream starts, I'll be watching it. So, stop now. Alright guys, we're in it. If you want to watch the original video without me talking, the link will be down in the description down below. With that said, let's learn some history. We need Bonaparte. Newspaper Les Civilian, August 1799.
October 1799. After 500 days campaigning in Egypt and Syria, Napoleon has returned to France.
Heck yeah.
And with a small entourage, he travels north to Paris. Everywhere he goes, he is greeted by crowds, embraced by dignitaries, and feted as a conquering hero. But such celebrations cannot hide that France is a country in crisis and despair. Banditry is so rife that Napoleon's own luggage is stolen en route.
Wow. All right.
Prices are soaring. So too are taxes. Trade has been decimated by years of war and blockade. There is conscription, censorship, and corruption. Abroad, France once more faces a powerful coalition of enemies. And though General Massena's brilliant victory at Zurich has won respite, France is not safe yet.
I'm happy to see Massena back. Massena, for those of you who don't know, is my second favorite marshal after Davout, and I believe he had some encounters with the Archduke Charles, which is pretty awesome overall. Massena, one of the best of the era, you know. I've done some research off the main series of Napoleon, and yeah, I've come to really love Massena. I think he easily makes the top 10 of the best of this era.
But in Bonaparte, many see a savior for the country.
Heck yeah, he is.
Thanks to his own propaganda, everyone has heard of his brilliant victories in Italy and Egypt. His name is celebrated in newspapers and plays. The air rings with cries of, "Hurrah for Bonaparte! He will save the country!"
He was a better, governmental force than the Directory. And even
Not
the Bourbon
everyone
monarchy,
is
in my
thrilled
opinion.
by the general's return. At the very top of French government, some wonder if Bonaparte should not be court-martialed for abandoning his army in Egypt, and now flouting France's quarantine laws. However, Napoleon does now have a letter from the Directory ordering his return to France, though he acted before receiving it.
The Directory awaits you and the brave soldiers who are with you. Letter from the Directory to Napoleon, 20th
There's also
of September,
concern that a
1799.
move against such a hugely popular general could easily backfire.
You know, as we're covering the Julius Caesar series right now on my channel from both Historia Civilis and Kings and Generals, it's kind of cool to see these parallels because of just how much the Senate was afraid and worried about Caesar. You know, fortunately, seizing power worked much better for Napoleon. He didn't get stabbed. So, yeah.
For his part, Napoleon regards the government with contempt, a sentiment he's happy to share in private. Over breakfast, he tells General Thibaut, "These men are bringing France down to the level of their own blundering. They are degrading her." Well, what can generals expect from this government of lawyers?
So throw them in the river.
It's self-evident that he would do a better job, given all his glorious achievements in Italy and Egypt.
You know, it's funny that hearing this, if you didn't know about Napoleon, sounds beyond arrogant, right? Like, oh, a military man thinking he can do better? But I think domestically, Napoleon was really great at governing, with his reforms, with his... The worst part, I guess, of his reign is at the constant wars, but that wasn't fully his fault, because obviously that was just everyone else attacking him. But I think domestically, Napoleon was a very great ruler, in my opinion, and he did... I think he was overall, really good in that regard. Though I will admit, I think diplomatically and in terms of foreign relations, I think that's probably not where things went well, but domestically he's great in my opinion.
Since 1795, France has been ruled by the Directory, a five-man executive whose members hold power for 5 years. In 1799, its members are Paul Barras, Napoleon's first patron, infamously corrupt and dissolute, but a shrewd political operator. He has been a permanent member of the Directory since its formation. Emmanuel Joseph Sieyès, a former priest who wrote the Revolution's most famous political pamphlet, now regarded as the leading political thinker in France. Then, 3 staunch Republicans, appointed to the Directory just 4 months ago, under outside pressure. Louis Goyer, a veteran Jacobin, and former minister in the National Convention. Jean-François Moulin, a Jacobin general who had commanded in the bloody war in the Vendée. And Pierre-Roger Ducos, a more moderate figure and ally of Sieyès. The other major element of government, the legislature, is comprised of the Council of 500, who draft laws,
Yes,
and the
Lucien
Council of
Bonaparte.
Elders, who approve them. Members of both councils dress in extravagant costumes, inspired by their great model, to which they refer constantly, the ancient Republic of Rome.
That's cool. I'm also like in this like Romanesque outfit with this cool red cloak, so man, I'm actually happy I wore this outfit.
This government, the Directory in particular, is now widely regarded as corrupt.
And also, isn't it ironic that they're patterning themselves after the Republic of Rome, yet they're about to fall to an empire like Napoleon? History, it sure does love repeating itself, huh? I just caught that, like, parallel. Man, history. I know you love repeating yourself, but get some new material once in a while. No, I'm joking. Let's get back to this.
Corrupt, ineffective, and unfit to survive. And powerful men on the inside will play a leading role in its destruction.
I returned to France at a fortunate moment when the existing government was so bad it could not continue. Napoleon on St. Helena.
On his return to Paris, Napoleon takes up residence in the home of the Beauharnais family on Rue de la Victoire, which has been renamed in his own honor. Given the unsettled political climate, he faces an uncertain and potentially dangerous few months in the capital. One man he can count on as a valuable guide, his younger brother, Lucien. He serves in the Council of 500 as the deputy for Corsica, and has recently been elected its president. As such, he will be a key player in the weeks ahead. But first comes a stormy reunion with his wife, Josephine.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Josephine was cheating on him while he was in Egypt, right? And that was something he received. I think he wanted to divorce her, but they made up. Which is... I guess I could admire that. I know some couples can rebound from that. Me personally, I think cheating is like the unforgivable thing. Like, I would personally never get back with someone who cheated on me, but that's just a personal thing. I've known plenty of people who do, and marriages that continue despite cheating, so I don't know. I guess it depends on the person, though I find it unforgivable. I would never, but, you know, different folks, I guess.
Which quickly gives way to a passionate rapprochement. Both have been guilty of infidelities, but Napoleon is clearly still in love, and his earlier talk of divorce is quietly forgotten. Henceforth, Josephine will prove a faithful wife, and through her social connections...
While Napoleon continues cheating on her. Yeah, that's kind of funny, huh? Josephine ends up becoming much more faithful while Napoleon still has many mistresses. So, yeah, in a way, like, I guess Josephine, I guess you could say, started the cheating, I think she did. But Napoleon followed and basically continued, so... They're such a weird couple, but I like oddly like them. Like, they're an endearing couple. I don't know what is it about them, but I like Napoleon and Josephine. They're like a very interesting historical pairing.
An important political ally. Paris is awash with talk of plots and conspiracies. Rumors of threats from the left, ex-Jacobins, who oversaw the bloody days of the Terror. And from the right, secret royalists who want to turn back the clock. And there are those who seek a third option. Soon after his arrival in Paris, Napoleon receives a visit from France's ex-foreign minister, Maurice de Talleyrand.
Oh no, Talleyrand!
Talleyrand, a keen observer of which way the political wind was blowing, had resigned from the government in July. Having worked with Napoleon in planning the Egyptian expedition, he now proposes they collaborate on another plan. to replace the government of France.
Talleyrand is such an interesting figure, and, you know, I feel like some people write him off as, he's just a traitor, he's just a you know, jerk who's just opportunist, and then there are other people who have argued that, no, there's much more to him than that. You see, like, obviously there's debate around the man. I don't personally stand. I feel like I have yet to do a lot of research on him personally, so I don't have a concrete stance on him, though I was looking up, like, you know, what he was doing during the Congress of Vienna, his work as, I believe he was Napoleon's foreign minister, or guy who handles foreign affairs, so I feel like there's a lot, he's a very interesting but not much talked about figure, at least outside of the historical thing, because, like, not many people talk about him, so I feel like he's very interesting, and he's someone I am trying to do more research on, whether he's a snake traitor or, like, secretly just, you know, more than that, like I said, I'm not sure, but I am kind of impressed by his resume, if anything. And who knows, maybe one of these days I'll have a more concrete opinion if he ever comes up in a video again. But he is just very interesting.
Napoleon, disgusted by the current regime, immediately welcomes the idea. Talleyrand then reveals that a member of the Directory itself is working to bring down the regime. Sieyès, the country's leading political thinker.
Yeah, Emmanuel. I believe it wasn't immediately after the overthrow of the Directory. Before Napoleon becomes emperor, it was like a three-man kind of triumvirate-esque system. It was Napoleon, Emmanuel, and someone else, I forgot. But either way, but eventually Napoleon just seizes all the power and becomes emperor, you know. But for a while there, it was almost like a triumvirate. So, you know. Which is funny, because right now I'm covering the triumvirate from the Kings and Generals portion of the Caesar series, and just how brutal Augustus, Marcus, war, and especially in the purges of Rome, so, ugh.
Has decided that the Directory must be cast aside, and that France must have a new constitution, which he intends to write. He plans to sweep away the chaotic, unruly legislature and its weak, ineffectual executive. To save the Republic, radical reforms are needed, and an entirely new form of government.
The conspiracy.
Sieyès already has the support of another director, Roger Ducos, and the president of the Council of Elders, Louis-Nicolas Lemercier. He even has the support of the president of the Council of 500, Lucien Bonaparte. Minister of Police Joseph Fouché, who has eyes and ears across Paris, is also aware of their conspiracy, but has agreed not to intervene. Now Sieyès seeks a sword, as he puts it, a military figurehead to keep the army on side and be wielded at the decisive moment, and then sheathed
Napoleon
afterwards. But such a man is proving difficult to find. Sieyès' first choice had been General Joubert, Napoleon's talented subordinate at Rivoli, but he'd been killed earlier that year, shot dead at the Battle of Norvy in northern Italy. General MacDonald is sounded out, but
hey,
is too much
MacDonald.
the honest Republican for such skullduggery. General Moreau, who has led the army of the Rhine with great success, declines the role. In a moment he will later regret, he recommends Bonaparte. There's your man. He will make a better job of your coup d'etat than I could. Sieyès does not like Napoleon. His ambition is too obvious. It is Talleyrand who persuades Sieyès that they have found their sword. On the 23rd of October, Napoleon and Sieyès meet for the first time. They agree that the Republic is in grave peril, from enemies within and without, and that the Directory cannot meet the challenge. Within a week, they agree to launch a coup to overthrow the government of France.
The pear is ripe. Napoleon. The greatest Napoleon quote has been found, guys. We've heard a lot of quotes, but this one is the greatest.
The conspirators plan their coup for the 7th of November, 16th Brumaire, according to France's revolutionary calendar, the month of fog. It's a risky operation that will take 2 days, during which any number of things could go wrong. Many of the plotters take precautions. Sieyès carries a briefcase stuffed with cash for a quick getaway. Fouché, the Minister of Police, has drafted orders for Napoleon's arrest in case he needs to switch sides.
Dang!
Napoleon sleeps with 2 loaded pistols by his bed. At the last minute, there's a 48-hour postponement. So instead, that night, Bonaparte dines at General Bernadotte's apartment on the Rue de Cisalpine.
Oh yeah, Bernadotte. I think Napoleon wanted Bernadotte, like, support, but then Bernadotte was like, nah, I'm good. And that kind of caused some friction, but oh well.
They are joined by Generals Moreau and Jourdan. He wants the support of these influential generals for his coup. Moreau agrees to help. Jourdan promises not to interfere. But Bernadotte is outraged and warns Napoleon that he'll be guillotined. We'll see,
No.
says Napoleon.
No. No, he's not. 18 premiere. Day 1 of the coup. So today's the day for the clearing out of the rubbish dump. Conversation between soldiers over
The 9th of November, Paris. In the crisp hours before dawn, Napoleon meets around 60 officers that he's invited to his house. He informs them that he's decided he must act to save the Republic and asks for their support. They affirm their loyalty with oaths of allegiance. The most important man to convince is General Lefebvre, the no-nonsense military commander of Paris.
Doesn't he just offer him a sword or something and, like, Lefebvre, like, agrees? I think that's how it went.
But Napoleon knows his man. He presents Lefebvre with the sword he wore at the Battle of the Pyramids as a mark of his great esteem. And the general is won over. Let's go throw those bloody lawyers in the river, he growled.
Heck yeah.
At 7 a.m.,
Oh, that's all it took,
the
Hob.
Council of Elders meets in an unscheduled early session at the Tuileries Palace.
Shit.
Only Sieyès' allies have been invited, so without opposition, they quickly passed 2 measures. First, Napoleon is to be given immediate command of the Paris military district, using the pretext of a non-existent Jacobin plot. Second, tomorrow the legislature will move from its usual meeting place in the center of Paris to the Château de Saint-Cloud, 5 miles west outside the city. This, the plotters tell the council, is for their own safety. The Paris mob is famed for its unpredictable and violent political interventions. The move is, of course, to protect the conspirators themselves from such an event. At 10 a.m., Napoleon arrives at the Tuileries. He speaks to the Council of Elders, reassures them that the trusted generals Lefebvre and Berthier are by his side, and concludes, "We want a republic founded upon true liberty, on civil liberty, on national representation. We will have it. I swear it." Meanwhile, that morning at the Luxembourg Palace, where the 5 directors reside, Sieyès and Roger Ducos announce their resignation and urge Barras, Goyer and Moulin to follow suit. Barras decides to take a long bath and will not be disturbed.
Okay.
Perhaps he is mulling his options, or waiting for an offer. When it comes, it is from Talleyrand, the man who perhaps understands him best. With the help of an enormous bribe, and the reassurance that he will keep all his estates, Barras agrees to resign. France's longest-serving director, and once formidable power broker, quietly leaves the stage. He is driven to his country house that evening, under military escort. Goyer and Moulin are not so easily persuaded, and so they are placed under house arrest by General Moreau. Their objections are futile. With the resignation of 3 directors, the executive is constitutionally defunct. The conspirators have what they want, a power vacuum, to which they will propose a solution the next day at Château de Saint-Cloud. It will be a day on which the future of France hinges. That evening, as Napoleon rides through the Place de la Concorde, where so many had died under the guillotine, he turns to his secretary. "Tomorrow," he says, "either we will sleep at the Luxembourg, or we'll end up here."
Dang, yeah. Citizen representatives, the circumstances in which you find yourselves are not ordinary. You are on a volcano. Napoleon to the Council of Elders, 10th of November.
Napoleon rises at 4 a.m. and rides to Saint-Cloud. There he meets Murat, newly promoted to General of Division.
Hey Murat, good to see you again.
6,000 troops surround the chateau. Officially, they're there to guard the council members. But as deputies arrive for the day's session, the heavy military presence is impossible to miss. There are long delays. Benches have to be found for the chambers. Council members have time to mingle and discuss the many swirling rumours. This time, the Jacobin deputies are present, and they're not happy at being excluded from the previous day's meeting. When the councils finally begin their sessions at 1 p.m, the mood is raucous. The sudden resignation of the directors, the presence of so many troops, the claims of a Jacobin plot. There is much to discuss. The plotters had hoped for a quick vote to establish a new provisional government. But the presidents of both councils struggle to take charge. Hours pass. Napoleon loses patience. At 4 p.m, he bursts into the Council of Elders.
Oh no.
As he begins to speak, he is heckled and derided. Napoleon is thrown off balance. He rambles, mutters, then hesitates.
Oh no.
When a deputy interrupts, "What of the Constitution?" Napoleon flings back, "The Constitution? You yourselves annihilated it." There is uproar.
Holy
Napoleon
crap.
continues, demanding action from the council. Anyone who speaks against him, he strongly implies, has been paid by the British. To any such deputy, he warns, "May the lightning of war crush him instantaneously.
Yo, Napoleon,
Remember that I walk accompanied by the god of war and by the god of fortune."
Oh my god. Yo, Napoleon, I don't think you're handling the situation that well. Oh, I miss Napoleon. I'm happy he's back. I've actually missed him.
These ill-chosen words seem to confirm the Assembly's very worst suspicions. By some accounts, Napoleon has to be dragged from the chamber by his staff, shouting, "You are scoundrels! I will have you shot if you don't obey me!"
Oh my gosh. Napoleon, you're coming across a bit tyrannical and insane at the moment. Oh my goodness.
Napoleon is shaken, but not defeated. Within minutes, he storms down the corridor into the Council of 500, where the president, his brother, has lost all semblance of control. The mood here is of even greater defiance. The deputies have spent the morning swearing oaths of loyalty to the Constitution. And when Napoleon arrives, flanked by grenadiers, he receives a torrent of abuse. "Down with the tyrant," they cry. "Outlaw! Caesar! Cromwell!"
He really is kind of coming across as like a Caesar at this moment. I kind of like the parallels. I'm really happy that I'm covering Julius Caesar right now, because I'm like able to see a lot of parallels. Like a lot of familiarity between the two.
These the names of famous generals turned tyrant. As the crowd presses in, he is grabbed, jostled, even punched.
Oh my gosh.
Lefebvre and his grenadiers rush in to extricate Napoleon from the scuffle. They haul him clear and drag him into the courtyard outside.
Yeah, Napoleon didn't handle either of those situations that well. Or at least the first one he came in making those statements. The second one he just got jumped. Oh no. Since they've made you an outlaw, make them outlaws yourself.
Napoleon is rattled and bloodied. He seems unsure what to do. His old comrade, General Augereau, now a council member, comes out to see him.
Oh no, not Augereau.
"You're in deep water now," Augereau tells him. Napoleon regains his composure. "It was worse at Arculay." Nevertheless, the coup totters on the brink of disaster. If the council declares Napoleon an outlaw, it could mean a firing squad or a swift trip to the guillotine. But the riotous disorder has played into his hands. He is the military commander of Paris. When he hears Jacobin deputies are keeping his brother Lucien in the chamber against his will, grenadiers are sent to bring him out. Napoleon attempts to rally troops for a decisive intervention. News of his manhandling by the deputies outrages his old comrades. They are raring to go. But the Legislative Guard, the 400 troops charged with protecting the council, are not convinced. It is Lucien who seizes the moment. He mounts a horse and announces, "Citizens, soldiers, the great majority of the council is at this moment being terrorized by a handful of deputies armed with daggers. These brigands are doubtless in English pay. I declare to you that these madmen have made themselves outlaws by their assaults upon the liberty of this council."
Alright, Lucien, good job.
Then he draws a sword and points it at Napoleon's chest. "I swear that I will stab my own brother to the heart if he ever makes an assault on the liberty of Frenchmen."
Holy crap.
The doubters are won over. A signal is given. With bayonets fixed, troops flood into the Council of 500, with General Murat at their head.
Murat.
"Citizens, you are dissolved," he shouts. Then to his men, "Get this damn rabble out of here." The deputies scatter. By some accounts, they jump out of windows, leaving their robes and hats strewn across the gardens. Certainly, the conspirators had hoped to avoid the use of troops. But it had always been a backup plan, one that turned out to be desperately needed. Later that evening, a few deputies are rounded up to form a rump council of 500. Joined by the similarly cowed Council of Elders, they approve the measures that are suggested to them. The dissolution of the Directory, the adjournment of both councils for 4 months, though they will never meet again, and the appointment of 3 provisional consuls, a term borrowed from the Roman Republic. Emmanuel Joseph Sayes, Pierre-Roger Ducos, and General Napoleon Bonaparte.
The first consul.
3 years, 8 months since he took command of the army of Italy, Napoleon has risen to the summit of political power in France.
And he's still about to rise even further, which is insane.
He will now be one of 3 men in charge of drafting a new constitution for the Republic. But through his brilliance, energy, and immense popularity, he will soon overshadow his 2 colleagues. Only one man will emerge to rule France.
Napoleon!
The first consul, Napoleon Bonaparte. And what better way to cement his hold on power than a new military campaign?
Heck yeah.
And a return to Italy.
Yeah, the famous crossing of the Alps by Napoleon. So I guess he's gonna cover Marengo and all that. The campaign before the War of the Third Coalition. And it's funny because Napoleon actually crossed with a depressed mule or something like that. But not as cool. You know, I like Napoleon propaganda because it makes him look like the greatest man who ever lived. Meanwhile, the British are just making him a short person. Like a small little dwarf or something.
Do you want to see our newest and most visually spectacular video? Right now, without ads. The Battle of Cape St. Vincent was a key naval clash of the French Revolutionary War. The battle that made Nelson famous, and we're telling its story with the help of 3D graphics and Unreal Engine.
Wow. He is stepping up his game. I was even admiring a lot of the, like, art here, but, like, he is stepping up his game. Good job on you, Epic History TV.
Nebula subscribers can watch it right
now
and know their subscription is helping to support our work. Nebula is a prestige streaming service. Exclusive series.
Sorry, I'm just looking.
us on Patreon, where you'll get early.
So I think he's done. So yeah, I guess he's gonna have to be covering future battles like Marengo next, right? And yeah, guys, that was really fun, and I'll be there to watch him. Like I said, Napoleon's not done on this channel. I was planning on, once I was getting through the Caesar series, I was thinking of like reacting to Kings and Generals Napoleon, and I'm gonna try to react to the series from 2002. So there is more Napoleon to come. And it was definitely fun seeing this again. So, yeah, overall, that was really cool to learn. And, yeah, I just really love learning about Napoleon. I really love the guy. So, I think I've said everything I needed to say. I'm just gonna end the video right here. This has been fun. I'll see you guys next time. Bye, everyone.